Hello and welcome to episode 213 of Rivers Arcade Review. My name is Zed. This channel is dedicated to the coin-operated video games of yesteryear. Today I'm doing a viewer request. Today's video was requested by the viewer Cartoons, Anime, Toku, and Video Games Universe 2002, and the game they requested was Spiderman, the video game. Spiderman, the video game was released in 1991 by Sega. My first time playing this game was on MAME. Spiderman the video game, or Spiderman for short, is a scrolling fighting game in which you control one of 4 superheroes with an 8-way joystick and 2 buttons, one to attack and one to jump. You need to battle a series of supervillains on your way to Dr. Doom's lair. This game came in a 2, 3, or 4-person version. This is based on cabinet size as well as management settings. Each position will have its own coin slot. For this video I'll be reviewing the 4-player game. Gameplay begins with the character select screen. You have a choice between Hawkeye, Submariner, Black Cat, and the game's title character, Spider-Man. Once you highlight the character you wish to play, pressing either button will select them. During a multiplayer game, Player 1 will have Hawkeye highlighted, Player 2 will have Spider-Man highlighted, Player 3 will have Submariner highlighted, and Player 4 will have Black Cat highlighted by default. Player can change these characters, although once a player selects a character, that character will be locked out. If 2 players have a character highlighted, the first player to press the button will move the other players to the next available slot to the right. If there are no available characters to the right, the highlight will scroll back to the left. If the timer expires, whatever character is highlighted will automatically be chosen, although, if there are more than one player highlighting the same character, Player 1 will automatically lock into that character, then Player 2, and so on. Once all players select a character, you will go to the description screen with Spider-Man aka Spidey jumps to the wall on the right, and you will get the message Chapter 1, The Mystic Power Stone. Trouble ahead. Go get him, superhero. You can cancel this message by pressing either button. Each character will begin with a set amount of life energy. You will receive between 200 and 600 units of health in 50-point increments based on management settings. You will automatically lose 5 units of health every 10 seconds. You will also lose health when attacked by enemies. Inserting extra credits will increase your health to the same amount you received in the original buy-in. Once your health reaches 0, your game will end, although you can continue for an extra credit, and if there are less than 4 players in the game, you can switch characters after your rebuy. After the message screen, Scorpion will walk across the playfield, and Spidey will say, "Party's over, Scorpion," and Scorpion will walk off the screen, followed by a semi-truck. Once the truck passes, gameplay will begin. You will have 2 modes of attack and 1 of defense. Pressing the attack button will cause you to punch, and pressing the jump button will cause your character to jump. Pressing both buttons at the same time will cause your character to do a special attack. Each character will have their own special attack. Spider-Man will spin his web, Hawkeye will shoot an arrow, Submariner will shoot a lightning bolt, and Black Cat will use her whip. Using these special attacks will increase damage to the enemies, although you will lose about 15 units of health each time you do one of these special attacks. Each character has their own special jump. Pressing the jump button, then pressing both buttons will allow you to do the special jump. Hawkeye and Submariner will do a diagonal jump kick, whereas Black Cat and Spider-Man will do a swinging jump, with Black Cat swinging on her whip and Spidey swinging on his web. You will immediately be attacked by blue goons. These enemies are dressed in blue with white masks. Getting hit by these enemies will cost you about 10 units of health. It will take 5 hits to defeat these enemies. These will be the easiest enemies to defeat. The next enemy you will face will be the purple goons. These enemies will be armed with a sword and will take 6 hits to defeat. You will lose about 12 units of health each time you are hit by one of these enemies. After several hits, they'll get knocked down and drop their swords before getting up and continuing to fight. Next you will face the large gang member. These overweight, mohawked enemies are a small threat, although they can lay down and roll at your character, making it hard to dodge. Getting hit by these enemies will cause 20 units of damage, although it will only take 5 hits to defeat these enemies. You will also face red goons, which are more agile than the purple goons. You will receive 12 units of damage when hit by this enemy. It will take 10 hits to defeat these enemies. After fighting these enemies, you will come upon a semi which will open up, exposing Scorpion, who will jump down and say, "Let's see how you fare against the Scorpion's sting." Scorpion has a long reach with his tail. You will receive 32 units of damage with his tail attack. After about 10 hits, he will run off screen. During the battle, Venom will emerge from the semi and join the battle, saying, "Nothing can stop us now." Getting struck by Venom will cause 20 units of damage. Unlike the other enemies, he will have a life bar at the top of the playfield. You need to completely deplete the health bar in order to defeat him, although doing so will cause him to grow about triple his size and he will escape and gameplay will change. The screen will now zoom out and the characters will look smaller. You'll get the message, "Venom has to be stopped." You will now be required to jump upward onto the balconies. On several of these balconies will be containers with a red heart on them. Collecting them will add health to your meter. Collecting the small canister will add 10 units of health, and collecting the big canister will add 40 units of health. In addition, your attack button will change what your character will do. Instead of punching, pressing the attack button will cause your character to do their special attack, although you will not lose any life units. During this battle, you'll face another new enemy, which is the Green Goon. This enemy will throw a 3-bladed boomerang knife at you. Getting hit by the blade will cause 40 units of damage. You can defeat these enemies with 2 attacks. The next enemy you will face will be the red-suited gunman. These enemies will shoot guns at you. They will fire their guns twice before pausing. Getting hit by the bullet will cause 30 units each for each shot. You can also defeat these enemies with 2 attacks. After the red gunman, you must jump to a large green storage tank, and you must climb up the side of it to the top, where you will need to move down some angled scaffolds. Once you jump up several floors of scaffolding, Venom will reappear. Just like before, he will have a life bar. You must use your attacks to wear down his life bar, and when you do, he will jump upward off the screen, although once you climb up, he will reappear with the new life bar. Now he will knock down scaffolding sections during this battle, making it harder to evade and dodge his attacks. Defeating him again will cause him to jump off screen. Then, you will repeat the same battle you just faced. Once you deplete his life bar, he will return to normal size, and a giant helicopter will appear and fly upward, and Venom will disappear. You must jump onto the bottom of the copter, where you will be dropped off on a building's roof, and the game will zoom back in, and your character will appear large again, and you will be back to fighting with the original attack. During this battle, you will face more enemies you faced earlier until you come up to the gang members. These enemies will be wearing different colored tank tops. These enemies will duck your attacks, making it harder to defeat them. You'll receive 12 units of damage when getting hit by these enemies. It will take 6 hits to defeat these enemies. After defeating these enemies, you'll come across Venom, Kingpin, and his thugs. Kingpin will say, "The effect of the Sorcerer's Stone have worn off," and he will walk off screen. You'll once again have to battle Venom, although now Kingpin's thugs will join in the battle. These enemies will be wearing white suits. You will lose 4 units of health each time they hit you, and it will take 4 hits to defeat these enemies. Defeating Venom this time will cause him to lose his alien skin, leaving behind his human form. After he disappears, you'll get a cut screen in which your character will be displayed with the number of enemies you defeated as well as the number of bosses you defeat. You'll be awarded bonus points based on these accomplishments as well as life increase. During a multiplayer game, those who scored the best will be awarded more health. After the cut screen, you'll continue on and come to a screen with a Zeppelin blimp, and the screen will zoom into Spidey. The screen will say Chapter 2, Big Brother Kingpin. Spidey says, "Let's see if you've got what it takes to stop that Zeppelin from taking off." Once this screen fades, gameplay will continue. You will immediately be confronted by the Green Goblin, who will laugh before exiting the screen. You will immediately come upon more gang members and goons, although in larger numbers than before. Once you reach the end of the first portion of the stage, you will come upon Dr. Connors, who appears to be choking and will shortly transform into the Lizard. He can not only attack by biting you, but he can also hit you with his tail. You will lose 18 units of health for each of these attacks. Defeating the Lizard will cause the screen to zoom out once again, and you will continue the battles on scaffolds, although now the scaffolds will collapse if you stay on them too long. You will also come across a new enemy, which is a large white robot. These enemies will shoot fire at your character. Getting contacted by the flames will cause 22 units of damage. It will take 5 hits to defeat these robots. There will also be small robots to deal with. These robots will fly around and shoot at you. You receive 20 units of damage from these enemies. You can also defeat these enemies with 1 to 2 shots. Occasionally, the green goons will be standing on these robots. You can shoot the goons first or destroy them both at once by shooting the robot. Occasionally, some of these robots will release the heart canister when you destroy them, allowing you to increase your health. Next, you will face the next boss, who is Electro. This enemy will leap from platform to platform, making it hard to shoot him. During the battle, he will have 2 different methods of attack. His first attack method will be shooting electrical pulses towards your character. He will shoot directly at your character no matter where you are standing. Getting hit by these bolts will cause 30 units of damage. His second method of attack will be an all-out electrical attack. First, he will charge up and will flash between yellow and green while electrical sparks enter his body. This will take about 1.5 seconds to do, and he will be invulnerable during this portion. After charging, he will release the electricity in 8 directions. You receive 48 units of damage if you get hit by these electrical bolts. After the battle with Electro, you will continue through the scaffolding before entering Kingpin's ship. Once inside, a door will open and the screen will zoom into the characters before the battle continues. After several goons, you will come across a series of barrels. You need to either punch or shoot these barrels to destroy them to continue through the lair. Once you reach the end of the ship, you will face the Green Goblin. During this battle, he will use his power glove to punch at you. You receive 10 units of damage when he strikes you. Once you deplete his life bar, he will jump on his glider and continue the battle. During this part of the battle, it will not only be harder to hit him, but he will shower the playfield with pumpkin bombs. You must avoid these bombs because if one explodes by your character, you will lose 16 units of health. After several passes, the Green Goblin will begin zooming back and forth several times, making it even harder to avoid and hit him. After zooming a few times, he will return to his regular attacks. After depleting his life bar, he will continue attacking with hand-to-hand like before. After defeating him this time, you'll go to the cut screen and be awarded bonus points and life based on the number of goons and bosses you defeat. After the score screen, you'll get a cut screen with all 4 characters flying toward the city. You'll get the message, Chapter 3, The Lair of the Kingpin. Could the Kingpin be the mastermind of it all? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to face the big man himself. The ship will crash through the wall of the casino, and you will fight even more enemies from before. You'll come upon a door that you must break through by punching or using your special attacks. Once you break down the door, you'll face even more goons before facing another boss who is Scorpion. He will have multiple methods of attack. His first method is to sting you with his tail, which will cause 14 units of damage. His second method will be a jump kick at your character, causing 18 units of damage. The third method is grabbing you with his tail, squeezing you, and causing you 33 units of damage. Defeating the Scorpion will cause the screen to zoom out, and you will battle on a series of ledges. While on these ledges, you will face even more goons than before. After the goons, you will face a new boss, Dr. Octopus. He will say, "Today, Dr. Octopus will stand victorious." He will have 4 mechanical arms, allowing him to attack from a distance and cause 33 units of damage each. Once you defeat Dr. Octopus, you'll move on and come to a hallway with purple beams blocking your path. Breaking these beams will cause you no harm, although doing so will raise elevators. You need to avoid these elevators as they rise because they can crush your character, although you'll only lose 5 units of damage. Once you leave the hallway, you'll enter Kingpin's office. Once you reach the center of the office, the screen will zoom in again and you will immediately be surrounded by the Kingpin's thugs. After doing battle with the thugs, Kingpin will smash his desk and leave the screen. You will move to the right where there will be a giant window. You can either punch or use your special attack to break this window to move out onto the balcony. Once you reach the balcony, Kingpin will join the fight. He will have 2 ways of attacking you. First is a running bull charge. If he contacts you, you will receive 32 units of damage. He will also grab you and repeatedly headbutt you. While doing this, you will lose 58 units of damage. After a brief battle, Kingpin will run off screen. Once you reach the right of the playfield, a lump will form from the floor and move toward your player, and a giant hand shape will emerge from the lump, and the Sandman will emerge for the next boss battle. The Sandman has multiple methods of attacking, including the ability to morph back into the sandy ground and pop up and punch you, causing you 41 units of damage. The other methods of attack include a traditional punch, which causes 25 units of damage, changing his hand into a hammer and punching you with it causes 53 units of damage, and changing both hands into hammers and slamming both into your character's head causing 61 units of damage. Defeating the Sandman will cause him to dissolve into the floor and the screen will zoom out and you will do battle on more scaffolding, although now many are angled. Once you reach the top of the scaffold, you'll come across a large green helicopter. Once the copter takes off, you'll have a boss battle against the Hobgoblin. The Hobgoblin will fly back and forth on a hovercraft similarly to the Green Goblin. You need to shoot him either before or after he flies by because contacting him will cause 30 units of damage. He'll also drop pumpkin bombs toward your character. Contacting these bombs will cause 40 units of damage. The entire time you are battling the Hobgoblin, the helicopter will shoot at your character. Getting hit by these bullets will cost you 20 units of health. You also need to use caution when jumping on top of the helicopter because if you contact the rotor blades, you will receive 19 units of damage. You can also shoot and damage the engine housings of these helicopters, although you will not earn any points. Defeating the Hobgoblin will cause him to explode and the screen will zoom in and you will face the Kingpin once again. His attacks will cause the same damage as your previous battle. Once you defeat Kingpin, a hologram of Dr. Doom will appear in the sky and say "Slick," and he will laugh as it gets larger, filling the screen until it disappears. You will then get another cut screen and you will see the number of goons and bosses you defeat, as well as being awarded points and extra health. You will end up crash landed and you will say,
"Spider sense tingling, signaling danger."
Then the screen will show Final Chapter, Doomsday, oh no. You've crash landed in Latvella, Doom's home turf. Oh well, nobody said being a superhero was an easy job. You will then enter a cave and face the final new enemy, which is a mutant monkey. These are humanoid monkeys with extremely long arms, making it hard to attack them. If these enemies contact your character, you will lose 8 units of health. These enemies will only take 1 hit to defeat them, although even though they're easy to defeat, they make up for in great numbers. You will also face more goons after the mutant monkeys. After defeating the first group of goons, the foreground of the playfield will erupt in flames. In addition, when the goons move and jump, they will have a trail of themselves as if they were moving in slow motion. These changes are harmless to your characters. You'll face more mutant monkeys before the lizard returns. He will cause the same damage as before. Defeating the lizard will cause the screen to zoom out once again. This time, instead of fighting on scaffolding, you'll battle on cave ledges. You will soon face more large robots that will fly upward before dropping down. If this robot hits you, you will lose 30 units of health. There is a new version of the small robots here. These robots will have a piston that will thrust outward. If this piston hits you, you will lose 29 units of health. Other than that, these robots will act the same. After dealing with the robots as well as more goons, you'll walk across a drawbridge to a castle when the game will zoom in on your character. You will face even more goons as you come upon a gate blocking the doorway to the castle. You must break down the gate in order to enter the castle. Once you enter the castle, you will come across mines on the floor. You must avoid or jump over these mines because stepping on one will cause 15 units of damage. After the mines, you'll come across another gate that you must break down. After the second gate, a large number of mice will run across the floor, although they are harmless. You will then face some large gang members before reaching another gate. After the gate, you'll come across more landmines along with more gang members. After fighting several gang members, you will face the Green Goblin again. He will cause the same damage as before. After draining his life bar, he will jump on his glider again and attack while throwing pumpkin bombs at you. Depleting his life bar again will cause him to jump off his glider and you will fight hand to hand once again. After defeating him, you'll continue onto a sandy area where you'll face the mutant monkeys before facing the Sandman once again. He will once again cause the same amount of damage from his attacks. After defeating the Sandman, you will face even more goons before entering the main part of the castle. After facing more goons, Dr. Doom will appear. Getting hit by Doom's backhanded hit will cause 13 units of damage, and getting punched will cause 16 units of damage. He can also do a jump kick, which will cost you 40 units of health if he connects, and a forward charge costing you 36 units of health if he connects. Depleting his life bar will cause him to explode, and you will say, "You're finished, Doom," although Doom's hologram will appear and say, "Shut up, you fool," and you will say, "Doom's robot stubbles," then the screen will zoom out. You will now face goons on staircases along with fire-breathing skulls. Getting hit by the fire will cause 25 units of damage, although you can get hit multiple times with each flame. It will take 6 hits to destroy these skulls. In addition to the skulls, you'll come across more landmines which you must avoid. After the landmines, you will cross another bridge before facing Doom again, although he is now in a hovercraft. If you contact the hovercraft, you will lose 10 units of health, although continual contact will cause more damage. You will need to hit the hovercraft in order to destroy it. Destroying it will expose him in a smaller hovercraft. Once he reaches the center of the screen, he will say, "Now learn what it means to face true power," then he will fly upward off screen. The screen will fade out, then you will be back zoomed in, and Dr. Doom will face you head to head. Getting punched will cause 26 units of damage. He will also charge at you, causing 45 units of damage. After you deplete Doom's life bar, he will say, "My destiny is mine to decide," and he will receive another life bar, and you must battle him once again. During the battle, the walls of the castle will fall, revealing what looks like a technical room. In addition, the battle floor will be surrounded by an electrical force field. During the battle, he will also charge himself before releasing an energy beam toward your character, which will cause 20 units of damage. Defeating Dr. Doom this time will cause him to explode, and you will say, "It's over." The floor will then begin moving to the right, and Venom will appear, although now there will be 3 of them to battle. Each hit to any Venom will deplete the life bar, although after multiple hits, they will disappear and they will be immediately replaced by a new one. Once the life bar is depleted, all the Venoms will dissolve, and you will get the final cut screen with the goons and bosses that you have defeated as well as bonus points. After the screen, you'll get a scene with all 4 characters watching Doom's castle crumble to the ground, and you'll get the message, "Doom's castle burns in the distance. The battle is over. However, in your heart, you believe that Doom is bound to return one day. But should that day come, you know you're going to be there to foil his evil designs. After all, that's what being a superhero is all about, isn't it?" After the screen, you'll get a display with all the bosses you faced during the game. You'll then get a credit screen followed by the screen with your final score. I was unable to determine how the overall score was calculated, although the score displayed is divided by the number of rebuys, giving you your overall score. If you scored high enough, you can then input your initials. This was the first time playing this game, but being a fan of Spiderman, I did enjoy seeing the villains I remember from watching the TV show growing up, although I used many continues suggesting it was a quarter eater, but I recommend playing it whether in an arcade setting or on an emulator. I like this game more than Karnov, but not as much as Tutankhamun, though Spiderman the video game swings into the 136th position overall. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any games you'd like me to review, please leave a message below or on my homepage. Please remember to hit like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned to new videos on the first and third Sunday of the month.